Hi friends, Steve Macchia here. I want to welcome you to the reading retreat for the Discerning Life. So glad that you're participating in this experience together, and I look forward to hearing from you. Tell me how this has meant something to you as you're reading a book with the author and with an online community. Never done this before. I'm going to be doing these videos with you each Wednesday. And forgive me from the get-go because these are super amateur. It's just me in my home all by myself setting up the camera and doing this thing. So forgive me if it's a little rough around the edges. But I'm here in front of this wonderful little shelving unit that we have in our kitchen. And Ruth has found these great antique kitchen items that have been a part of our family now for many, many years. And this is the place, if you read already the introduction and chapter 1, this is one of the places that was filled with marinara sauce on that infamous Friday afternoon after the painters had left. And we were opening this jar of tomato sauce, marinara sauce, loaded with all sorts of vegetables in it and all the rest. And it exploded everywhere in this kitchen. And I'm just giving you a little glimpse as to when marinara sauce ends up in all of these little nooks and crannies of these amazing antique pieces, it makes for kind of a mess. But that's when discernment is most obvious. When you have something right in front of you, you need to attend to, so let's go attend to it. And that's what we did on that Friday afternoon. It became a great experience for me and Ruth to talk through over the years ever since. How do we resolve issues that are right in front of us? And boy, was this right in front of us. You'll be learning along the way in the discerning life that sometimes discernment is obvious. But most of the time, when we're faced with big issues, big decisions, we have to discern. We have to pause. We have to notice. We have to go through a process even, and to think and pray it through. But I wanted to stand in front of this shelf today as we got this retreat started and to just kind of emphasize with you that sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it isn't. So on these videos, every Wednesday of the reading retreat, you're going to be hearing from me, and I'm going to be suggesting that you consider the 3 practices at the end of the chapter. And for this particular chapter, at the end of the first chapter, the introduction didn't have the particulars like this one does, but for the end of chapter 1, I mentioned 3 spiritual practices. The first is the obvious. And what I'm saying there is, where have you, even in the past week, or even in the past day, maybe you have to stretch back, the past month or the past year, when was it obvious that God was making himself known? You might want to journal that, or think about it, process it, maybe even converse with a friend or a family member about it. Where did you notice God? Where was he showing up to you? I say here, where does God show up the most obviously for you? Where is he easiest to notice? Go there often. It is good for your soul. And I agree with that. I want to encourage you on that. So consider the most obvious places and times as to how God makes himself known. Secondly, I say the burning heart. Remember that story from the Emmaus Road experience? Where have you most recently had a burning heart, a burning sense of God's presence and his power? Maybe it was a tearful time in a worship experience. Maybe it was being outside in the beauty of creation and you were just overwhelmed. You were wowed with God. When did you have a burning heart? Pay attention to those burning heart moments, because that will feed you into an experience of discernment when you pay greater attention to when your heart is burning. And then the third practice here is tap, tap, tap. Remember reading about that? It's the tap, tap, tap on the shoulder of your heart. It's the times when God is making himself known, which happens to be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because that's who God is. He's an initiator. He's a lover. He's a giver. He has infatuated with you. All he wants you to do is notice his presence. So the tap, tap, tap is the noticing of God. So friends, 3 little practices. I want to encourage you this week. Pay attention, notice, and I'll see you next time as we continue this journey together.